Hello everybody, welcome. Let me get Discord over here so that we can get started in a bit. Hello Klaus, hello my Logify, welcome Mindbee, welcome to the stream. All of the regulars are here, I think. At least I already see 8 people, so that's nice. I figured out how to pin stuff as like messages, so I think that hopefully will help a little bit with when new people come into the stream, so that they don't have to ask where they can submit their tracks. It will just pop up for them. It is still very warm. It has cooled off today. It has rained for a while today, so it is cooling off. Hopefully tonight it will be a lot better, like actually cool down. And I got a few snacks left, so I think I'm ready to go. Let's get into the first track. This is King Thin, another old one, and didn't have the motivation to finish. It's kind of repetitive at times, and I don't want to go back and fix it. Okay, so we're just listening to this track for the hell of it. Camera works again, yes. It was only that one time that it didn't work. The last time it was because of the heat. I wasn't wearing enough clothes to actually, you know, be like presentable. Tomek, welcome. Yeah, that's everything. Kinthing, welcome as well. Let's start with your track. This is My, and it's an F155 BPM. Rhythm is a little bit strange for this drum loop, I guess. Oh no, it does make sense. It just feels a little bit off. It's frustrating to advance in skill and then go back into old projects and fix them. Do you think so? Kick and bass sounds nice. It's a little bit not clean here at the start, I would say. But other than that, personally I like going back into old projects, because then you can hear how much you have advanced. Like you put a few hours to it, and then you just have this upgraded track. Hello Soundbender. It is nice and groovy. I like the drum loop. I think this lead is a little bit aggressive. It just kind of comes in out of nowhere. Cybernatic, welcome. It is still very warm. So maybe every once in a while you see me with a towel. I do understand what you're saying in that it's a little bit repetitive right now. It feels like the elements have all been building up and you never really took anything away again. It's not even like really changing over time, in my opinion. Hopefully now that that acid line or whatever other synth is that is coming in, hopefully that takes over at some point and then some of the old elements kind of stop. What is this? A guitar or something? Hello, Greedo. Break is definitely sounding cool. Maybe here where you have that pitch bend, you could stay on that note so that you then can slowly kind of build it up again. Because now that the kick and bass is there, it feels a little bit strange to have the melody and then the main bass not coming along with it. Ah. I do like this. Some new sounds, that's cool. You can play with that in the first drop as well. Just have it somewhere in there once or twice. But I assume that at some point you're going to go. Yeah. Here there are a few of the old leads and atmospheres coming back. With a vocal like that, you can do much more. It's been 2/3 of the track, and we haven't heard that vocal before. So that can be like a recurring element. Yeah, back then. Okay. I mean, the newer stuff that I've heard from you, yeah, it's definitely improved, so. This track kind of has the same problem that we've heard with a few other people, where they just have like one FM lead doing the whole work, and they expect that they can continuously just modulate or automate one parameter throughout the whole track. If you want to have a lead for that long, you would need to have several ways of kind of changing it up and adding modulations, adding effects, maybe a phaser, flanger, stuff like that on top of it, just to keep it more interesting. All those voices, welcome. Nice little attention to detail there in the outro as well. Usually a lot of outros are just, okay, kick and bass is over, let's fade out all of the elements and let's get on with the next track, but I always like it if there's a little bit of extra stuff happening in the outro. The next track is Virtual Instinct. Interstellar Merger 150 BPM Master Final Project. Perfect. Another dark feeling track straight from the beginning. You're welcome. I think we don't need to pause it, but I'll still do it. The bass transients are completely muffled, and the same is true with your kick. You do have to resample this kick and bass. Or maybe there's some filter somewhere in your mastering chain that you aren't aware of. This is a good example of a track that doesn't feel too repetitive yet, because there's all of those little extra snippets behind it. There's still main lead on top, but it's doing multiple modulations, I think. And now we're going in the next one, so that's really well done. Still time for another track on the list? Yeah, keep them coming. Of course, I just got started. I'll be here for another like 3 hours. I do like the punchiness of your kick, but your bass feels very weak in comparison. Part is going to be the masking that is going on, because of the post-ringing that you didn't take care of, the lack of cleanliness. But I think also the bass transient can just be a little bit more accentuated, right? Maybe a bit more high-end. Maybe just a little bit extra volume at the transient itself. Perfect. I hope you know where to submit. I think it is in the message that I pinned, and we'll see when it comes through. Also, Macaulay, welcome to the stream, by the way. I didn't say hello yet. It's a bit rude of me. Is it just me, or are there some synth hits that aren't on the 16-note grid? It's not notes. Here everything is okay. Maybe in the part before where you generated it. I do really like your soundscape and the way that you're building different atmospheres out of many elements. Like stuff like this is really well done. Here for some reason it just kind of stops. Maybe one of the things that you can try with your kick is to pitch it maybe like 2 semitones lower. Kind of get that depth below the sub bass of the bass. Because right now the kick just kind of morphs into the sub bass of your bass. Do you see it? Like just like that. I like it if mine scoops under and then it kind of goes up again. triplets. Yeah, there's another synth that doesn't line up with the beat. That sounds really off. Sorry, so that was that track. I really like your sound design. I think there's a few issues with the kick and bass, the post-stringing that I pointed out, and personally as I feel like the kick and bass lacks a little bit of that up and down movement, as I said before, about pitching your kick down like 2 semitones, so that the sub bass kind of dives and then it goes up again when the bass line plays. I was distracted a little bit, somebody posted in the wrong channel. I also want to say before we continue with the next track, for those that are in my Discord server, you guys still have a little bit of time to ask me questions for the Q&A video. I would like to have as many questions as possible, right? Anything about, I said non-production, production related, whatever. You can just ask me questions here, that would be nice. And I'll all answer them in one big video once I hit 10k. But with that being said, let's get back into the next track, which is another King Thin track. Wait, this is 16 bars. This is just a little snippet, okay. This is just going to be like 51 seconds of track, so not much going on. Not very long. Sounds really cool. Ooh, I like that last part. It sounds really cool. There's a few things. I don't know where this is going to be in the track. If this is like right after a break or something like that, then obviously it's too aggressive, I would say. But if you slowly build up to such a complex idea, I think it can work. The problem with like all of those, when you do one of those drop where it's all little snippets of sound, is that you have to very slowly get the listener used to that kind of energy level, because you're switching around all the time. And that complexity is something that you have to slowly build up, otherwise it's just going to sound very out of place. At least in my opinion. A mixing thing, I personally thought that the hi-hats were too quiet. And maybe even the mid-range a little bit too loud. You can see here some peaks. That is maybe a bit on the loud side. And then also I would like to see it kind of go down and then up again, right? That little extra thing there, that little extra bit of frequency content that usually is provided by the hi-hats. Especially, I would like to hear some kind of strong open hi-hat on that offbeat. Where to send the track feedback on stream? Yes, exactly. You come into my Discord, you'll land on the landing page here, where you can add my music to your playlist, which I highly recommend. Then you can scroll down if you want to ask me questions for 10K Q&A, then you can do that here. And then once you're finished with that, you are allowed to post your track right here in this channel right here. No, just kidding. You can post it immediately, but if you want to do those other things, that would also be cool. Yeah, but you can post your track right in here, right in this channel, and then we'll listen to them in order. Wait, this I have to, okay, so that's 502. Somebody posted in the wrong channel, and this is why that's kind of annoying. Now I have to keep track. So this was posted at 502. So now we're gonna do this one. And then after all voices track, we will go back in orange track. And then down here further. Okay, so this is, a friend told me that the leads in the first part hinder the flow of the song. I made a new version of it, but I still like this one. What do you think? I like that part before. I don't like this bassline change here. This bassline feels too open, not too weighty enough in comparison with the other bassline. Is this only sidetrans feedback? No, of course not. That sounded nice. I like the idea. I don't think that your leads hinder that idea at all. It is going to depend on what's happening before it here. Like, how do you get towards this point? What I would suggest maybe is to, in the intro, before you even get into this part, already slowly have that moving lead kind of building up. And then with obviously like a lot of pads and maybe even like build stuff, and then you kind of break it down going into the part that you have now. And then this is kind of like your secondary build up, and then you go into the drop. I would maybe even remove the kick before here. I'm personally not a fan of just kick or just bassline like that. So maybe something like a slow riser or something like that on top of those synths. I think that would sound a lot nicer. Thanks for the feedback. I need to go to the kitchen now. Maybe I'll come back after cooking and eating. Not have fun with stream. Thank you, dude. Thanks for stopping by. And thanks for providing a few tracks. Anyway, so now we get into Oren. Let's see. This is Tikal by Oren. We've heard this track before, but let's see what he has made out of it now. Ah, this is the techno track. You see already, not everything is sidetrans. I'm gonna say for this first kick, you can remove some 100 hertz so that you get more focus on like the lower subs. This feels a little bit muddy now. Especially listening to another kick like that, you can hear with the other kick how kind of stable it sounds. But it's already a big improvement from like the last time that we heard this. Right, last time we discussed how it just completely fell off, this kick. Welcome to the stream. This break. This is a very well balanced farm. Nice slide into those kind of stab sounds. Yeah, listen to the weight of this kick and compare it to the last one. This is a very good kick. Also nice use of the stereo field. This is also a better kick. This is a very good track. Now, I think the last time, the reason why I say that I think the last time there were like a lot of issues with it, but it seems like you fixed almost everything, apart from that first kick. I don't quite remember, I listened to a lot of different tracks, so I don't really recall. But this sounds very, very good. This doesn't work for a kick. It doesn't have that same weight to it as the other ones had. kick on the break like a hardstyle kick? Yes. Yes, that would be hardstyle. Arguably even the kick that we were listening to now was kind of like a hardstyle kick, but like an old school kind of, yeah, like an old school one. I don't know what kind of synth that is. Can I send you next, bro? What you can do is you can go into my Discord and post it in my Discord, and then we'll just go in order. You just join the Discord and scroll down, feedback on stream, and then you post it here. I'm not going to give anybody favorites, although I have been thinking about giving Patreon people, like, when they post a track, then they will always be the next people that we get to listen to. But for now, we'll just go in order, and you can just send the track right here, and I'll listen to it. Anyway, the next track is Tulos, Mind Break, Trust in Music. I like the artwork that you have. Just here. I feel like the kick sounds a little bit weak here. I don't know if you went for like an acoustic kick, if that was the idea. But the rest of the track sounds very, very nice. Even the synth work and stuff like that. Yeah, that's a lot stronger. Cleanliness seems okay. The only thing that I feel is that the kick and bass can use like 2, maybe even 3 dB of extra volume. Sounds very good.
Trust.
Here, this bass line I would say is too loud, or maybe it's just the kick that is too quiet now. It just feels like it doesn't really have the power, and before I saw that the waveform was louder in the intro than it was in the when the actual kick and bass was playing. Remember that your kick is the most important element of your track, and then the bass is second, and then third you have all of your leads and stuff like that. Other than that, it does sound very clean, and obviously we saw that the kick and bass itself is also very, very clean. So this is a very strong production. Yeah, here the bass line is really at the loud point and just too loud for the kick. I think also, yes, here you have cleanliness issues. Do you see how the transient gets destroyed by the bass line? That's your post ringing, so you would need to resample this bass line. Give it some proper fades, stuff like that. But overall, very well done. Very nice production. Some small details to look at, but for now we have the next track, which is Risto, Man Who Isn't an Artist, Mellow track, 180 BPM D. I like the idea of 180 BPM being mellow. Already starting off nice and mellow. I'm not a fan of this bass line. I think you forgot the filter on your bass. At least it sounds like that. It doesn't really have a transient, it just stays open. I cannot believe that this bass not being filtered is not an accident. Like you accidentally turned off the bass filter somehow and just didn't hear about it when exporting. It just sounds really strange to me that you would do that. I mean, we can see in the waveform that it just continues here. Right? This is still open. Here the bassline is still playing. It doesn't get chopped off like your normal bassline. Bass could be a lower octave. I don't think it has to do with the octave. It's just the filter cutoff not being applied, the filter envelope. Especially your open hi-hat, but even your closed hi-hats can have some more energy. D1, yeah, that's pretty normal. this frequency, which is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So then your sub bass Greedo would end up at 25 Hertz, which is too low, I would say. A lot of systems cannot replicate that, and then you're going to get issues. I would stay at this octave, to be honest. Yeah, there's no filter envelope here on this bassline. That's the problem. That's kind of a shame, because that means that your filter or that your bass is very open and it distracts from the sound design that you're doing, which is actually fairly cool. The bass just takes over too much now. You just want that high frequencies to be just a little plucked. I'm not hearing the sub, yeah. I agree, like maybe here it's a little bit high for some of these very high key changes. But to be honest, that's kind of the high-tech style, a higher sub bass. I've even written in like F1, I think. That's a cool feel. I like that. I don't know if I like the pitch envelope of the kick here. Felt very slappy, if you know what I mean. So some kick and bass issues for sure, but overall I think if you fix that, then you'll have a very, very cool track. Sives, welcome to the stream. Sunface, welcome as well. Stonks, I didn't say welcome to a lot of people. Alex, welcome. I think that's most of them. Next up, we have Soundbender, and this is mask.m4a. M4a. Does that just work? I've never heard of that file type. Yeah, okay. Oh, M4A is also MP4, apparently. Strange.
Yeah, right.
It's always a good idea to look at the waveform here. Personally, I think that your bass could be flatter in terms of dynamics. This whole track feels fairly dynamic. It isn't mastered yet for sure.
We all wear masks, metaphorically speaking.
Kick and bass is also very quiet in relation to the rest of the track. Apart from maybe the cymbals. Kick and bass and the cymbals could use a little bit of extra volume. The kick and bass definitely more than the cymbals. Also there, when you had your kick fill, you had some issues with cleanliness. Always check the waveform that you have no overlapping issues. Even here a little bit into this kick especially. You can see the transient kind of being squashed up here. You don't really want that. Are you sure the filter envelope is working? Because it didn't sound like it on the... No master, no mix, just export from Ableton. Okay. Yeah, I can definitely tell that there's mixing work that needs to be done here. I like your sound design. This is really cool stuff. Seon, welcome. I was already talking about this other track here. This is no longer your track. But you can see now the waveform of the break is just as loud as the kick and bass. Right, when the kick and bass is not being filtered. Let's say this is the height of the waveform now. Obviously not all the time, but this is like the peak level. This is also where the kick peaks. Is this it? Yeah. Okay, that's it. I thought there was another thing coming because it was clearly building up, but I guess that part isn't written yet. But that's okay. Anyway, the next track is All Those Fucking Voices with Brainwarp V2 Demo. Wait, is this the same track, but with different leads? This also sounds cool. Oh yeah, he said. Do you think it works better? I like this version too. I think both of them work. This definitely works. This definitely has some groove to it. I talked about before the bass line being too weak here in the other one. This sounds good. Overall, that sounds very, very nice. What do we have next? Macaulay, we have Solo 147 D sharp. Oh, I cannot play this. This is weak transfer. Doesn't allow me to play in the browser. So I will use that time to get myself a drink. So maybe combine them into one. You could definitely do that, yeah. Obviously not all at the same time, that's not going to work, but some for some parts and some for other parts, that would definitely work. Both of them are quite full in terms of the idea. Right, so you have two finished ideas there. If you don't find that you have enough space for that kind of thing, you can always make them into two tracks. Just replace the kick and bass for one of them and just restructure one of them, and you have a completely new idea already there. right? Just because the leads maybe doesn't work with the track that you have now, as you said for the first one, like your friend suggested, doesn't mean that you cannot use those leads and write a new track around it. Yeah, well, for parts of a track. Obviously, both of them have a fairly different direction in terms of the way that they make the track sound, but you would need to have other sections to that, right? A few places with a few different elements. If you have that and you just base them off the elements that you have already, then yeah. Maybe play the next track until he will send you a new link. No, because I just needed to download it, and now it is downloaded, so we can listen to it. Here come the horror movie effects. This is Signalizer. Kick and bass is actually clean. Looks very nice. Good stuff. I would say the snare is a little bit loud. It feels like the snare is louder than the kick here. Kick and bass could definitely use like 2 dB more in volume. It would be nice to have some more stuff happening in the fills, like some drum fills and stuff like that. I just noticed here the last 2 fills, the synth just kind of kept on going. And maybe having a little bit of a riser and having some atmospheres in there just to fill up that empty space that you leave out with the kick and bass would be really nice. I do like the thing that you did with that little bass kind of elongation, where the kick didn't play all the time and you had more bass notes. Mr. Friendly, how are you doing? Living up to the name. But overall the sound design is really impressive. All works well together. Very small on the details, very quick in terms of changing between sounds. And that's really hard to do it properly. I did think that when we first got into the track, it was at a pretty high energy level to start with, but later on it did become better. It's maybe a good idea to start with fewer elements and build it up a little bit slower. This is really cool. Here it works because we're already building up and we're already in the track, but for the first intro I felt like it was a little bit too much. This is the Macaulay track. Anyone who knows about Inspector Gadget is old. I don't consider myself old, I know of him. At least the cartoon version. I believe there's also like a movie, but I don't know about the movie. Maybe you do have to be old for that. But we used to have the cartoon in Dutch. Do you also remember Sky Channel? No. Unless you mean Sky in the Sky that we have football here in Italy. That's where you saw all of the cartoons. Sky 1, yes. I think I heard some vocal chops before, if I'm not mistaken. One of the things that I think is happening with this track is that the sound design doesn't evolve too much, as in there's a lot of changes happening between all of the sounds, but they always stay in the same kind of like timbre of sound design. Always this kind of dark feeling. And then something with like the vocal chops is fairly bright, fairly uplifting. That would be nice to sometimes sprinkle on top of it. Signalizer is a free plugin, yes. One of the kind of problems that you run into in terms of memorability of the track is that, well, this has the Inspector Gadget stuff, but the track lacks memorability in the drop because it's such a complex drop, right? You have so many small snippets of sound. There isn't one big kind of synth line anywhere. I would suggest that for 1 or 2 segments of your drop, you just have maybe like a very strong FM synth or something else that just goes throughout the whole drop, and then you build all of your other elements under that so that it stands out a little bit. You can do that for like 1 segment in the first drop and maybe 2 segments in the second drop, and then you have some kind of like a main synth that is really yours, something that is memorable because you play it so much. But overall, very, very cool track. I like it. How long have I been? It's just been an hour. Let's continue. Next up, we have Hypno with self-frequency finalized, also known as Tagar in my Discord server, for those that are interested. Already like the vocal mix.
The opinions of others, good and bad. We must focus on ourselves.
I like that the vocal sits on top and has enough space.
Ordinary, then you'll do what ordinary people do. If you want to be extraordinary, you will find your frequency and stick to it and allow it to evolve. You will raise your vibration.
I was working on this one almost 2 years ago.
More people with a stronger signal, bigger spectrum, and with greater clarity.
So this is an old track.
Find your own frequency.
Sounds very solid. Kick and bass is nice and clean. I love a waveform like this. This is what a good, clean kick and bass waveform looks like. very solid. It just sounds very good. I don't have much more to say. That one squelch sounds exactly the same as, let me find that track. It's kind of funny that I can recognize that. I cannot play the other track on stream, but I can at least point at it and let you guys know what it sounds like. I can find it. The Fortress Insignia remix. This track here has the exact same squelch sound. Also has a very similar vibe, by the way, in terms of the whole track itself.
Your frequency is your vibration. Everything vibrates. The earth vibrates the slowest, then plants, animals, humans, then sound, and then light, and then thought. The truth. The truth vibrates the fastest. And you can only be aware of that which vibrates equal to or less than you. And I can teach you to meditate to raise your vibration.
Here at this point the leads take over the vocal. So I would keep the vocal a little bit higher and maybe keep the leads a little bit lower here, so that you still have that same vocal mix throughout the whole track.
Be aware more things.
Once you've established that this vocal is supposed to be that loud and that it's telling a story and the listener wants to listen into the story, it's important that they can do so throughout the whole track. Apart from the moments like that where you have like a glitch on it and then it's obviously supposed to be like that. Hypno, Psy. Hypno here. This is his SoundCloud page. I do feel like the overall mix is lacking a little bit of grit. You know, the kind of grit that you get from some good saturation and some nice like bus processing, stuff like that. It's more of the detail thing. Like the overall balance is there, the overall feeling is there, but it feels like it just needs a little bit of that extra professional processing, which is hard to describe. I struggle with it myself a lot as well. In my own mixes, I found that the last few that I've done tend to be a bit better. I'm almost 100% sure that this squelch is a sample. It cannot be so similar to the track that I just showed, that the Fortress Insignia remix. If anybody wants to check that out and listen to the squelch there, I cannot play it on stream because I'll get copyright issues. But it's funny how close that is to the same squelch. The track is the Fortress Insignia remix by Spirit Architect and an Insignia, obviously. This has the exact, it's the exact same.
In the pursuit of our potential And then of course we have to have clarity, right?
Like the same kind of texture or something like that.
Understand.
Even the modulation feels the same. I didn't mean the main squelch, I mean that one that goes woo. Here. That very short one. This one. Woo. Woo. That very short little thing there. Here it is again. There it is again. That one sounds identical to the one that that sits in that track. Which is very... Either that's a very big coincidence, or that's just a sample. Oh, that's very strange. Now I do the squelches. Wow. Sample that. Matt, welcome. Any other names, by the way? Joao, welcome. Acid, welcome. LS, Glyph. Sion, I think I already saw before. I have to scroll back a while because I didn't take care of saying hello to everybody. I think Dave we've had. I think that's everyone. Psyves, welcome as well. That track would be hilarious. I agree. How many more tracks? We have a lot more tracks, so we will be staying here for a little bit longer. I'm not yet going to take a break. We're listening to Seon and Second Sam with Time. This is just a preview, so this is just 4 minutes. I'm assuming the whole track will be longer than this. He is looking at me fairly intimidatingly, so I'm not going to say too many bad things about this track, just so you know why my demeanor might be a little bit off. I'm being intimidated by this man here on my third monitor. What are you doing here? I'm giving feedback. Feedback to other people's music. You can submit your music typing !feedback and following the instructions, or checking out the pinned message. Essentially, you just drop your track in my Discord right here, feedback on stream. While you're there, you also have the chance to add my music to your playlist and listen to it on a regular basis, because that would really help. And then if you want to ask me a question for my 10k subscriber Q&A, you can also do that in this channel right here. All in one take. Did you see that? Nice groove. Love it. Kick and bass is clean enough. There's a little bit here. Maybe LFO to your bassline and that should be okay. It does seem like the bass transient is okay-ish, although this is being pushed up ever so slightly. Maybe for a challenge stream, try to do your squelch by mouth. That would be cool. And very embarrassing. But cool. Here. Yeah, here you can see there's some issue with the second transient just not having the same as the first transient. This does mean that you need to resample your bass line. Not much stuff happening here. I do like that clap, nice and lush. Kind of works with the dynamics of this track, which is fairly laid back. Honestly, the drops could be longer. I feel like it's fairly short, and even the first drop, there was a lot of filtering happening as well, so you don't really have the moment to actually get into that state of trance. Do you know what I mean? That one stab bass is maybe a bit on the loud side, and it also post rings heavily into your kick. Wait. Look at the difference between all of the bass transients. I know what's happening. I know what's happening. Are you making sure that the phase isn't randomized? Because how else do you get clicks like this, and then suddenly there's this hole and a little bit there, and then you have this here? Like, that's not normal behavior for a transient. What you need to do when making a kick and bass, this is important when you're making it. Say that you're in serum here, make sure that your randomization of the phase is 0, so that the waveform always starts from the same point. You want it to start right before the click, so this becomes part of your transient, right? And I feel like that's what's missing here. The second thing that I will recommend is resampling, and I'll quickly get the video for that. I just personally think that this is a very good video. Apart from the one time where I say post-ringing instead of pre-ringing when talking about linear phase, and I cringe every time that I see it. But other than that, this how to keep your, is your psytrance baseline clean, here's how to fix that, is a very good video. I also think the thumbnail is very good. Can I show this here? Yes. I don't think you can see the detail on the thumbnail, but you can see like this is all wonky and stuff like that. Kind of the same way that we had with the waveform before, where the waveform just gets pushed around by the bass note. And then I restore it. The thumbnail works on this level. I don't think it works when it's like very, very small, like it's often shown. But I think that there's some cool attention to detail in this thumbnail here that I just wanted to talk about. Also, as I said, the video itself I think is one of my better videos. In terms of the concept that I explain is so important that it just has to be a good video. I have to go here, I'll watch later, I'll try to see, but because my sister and nephew are here, I need to go downstairs. That's unfortunate, but I'm glad that you came by the stream and stopped by. I don't know, did you post any? Yes, okay, so we do have a track from you. Yeah, just watch it back. That means that you're not here to answer questions, but I'll keep that in mind. Next up, we have, are we already here? Yes, we have Klaus, Eternal Drift. Hello? Yes. You're welcome, Seon. I hope that I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Already very Klaus style. Oh, can I not pause it like, yeah, no. I wanted to pause it like that, but... So here there's multiple kicks playing, but you can see the transient of the first, and then look at how messed up this is. I don't even know what this is. Is this even a kick? Is this part of a bass or something like that? But there's just some high frequency content kind of existing in here being completely squashed by this kick. And then the kick and bass itself, this kind of goes up here. The bass line is very stereo in the low frequencies as well. And it doesn't really have a lot of high-end drum bass line. It is missing that kind of click vibe, I think. The vocals really remind me of Kalki. You could use one of his tracks for reference. I do like this part. It feels a bit heavier. Maybe it's just the synths on top. Of course, in terms of synth work and not layering, arrangement and stuff like that, this is a very Clausian track already. Very well done on the instrumentation. There are some issues. You could see maybe some bass frequencies here, maybe leaking from some of the drums that just came in. This is Klaus, yes. Eternal Drift by Klaus K. Nice little progressive part here. You could opt to make that an 8th note, that bass, if you want to. I mean, you have the space for it. Also, it feels like there's a little bit of mess going on and a little bit of masking. There's some muddies. The track just kind of ends here. This is all I have. Yeah, it will end suddenly, and that's exactly what happened. Structure-wise, that works in terms of the way that you went with the progressive drop, just a little progressive part in the middle there, the offbeat drop. That works structurally. What you could do is, before that third drop, opt for a little bit more breakdown. That could be maybe 8 bars, maybe 16 bars longer if you wanted to. And then you just have a little bit more divide between the first 2 drops and the last drop. The other thing is, yeah, overall the track, it feels a little bit muddy. It feels a little bit too weighty, and it feels like you didn't really take care of like the detail thing. That is probably maybe because it's still in early production, so maybe all of the stuff that I said about baseline cleaning and all of that stuff, maybe even like the stereo width that you're mentioning, all of that will get maybe addressed later in the process. I sure know that I do that, in the sense that my kick and bass never really sounds like the final kick and bass that you'll hear in the mix, because I mix after my production. So you hear my full production, and then everything, like even the balances and stuff like that, are going to change because I do like an actual mixing session. And if you're doing it, most producers tend to start with as much production and then slowly make it into as much mixing, right? Like there's like a little bit of a, imagine this is production, this is mixing, it kind of crosses over like that. Towards the end, you're basically only doing mixing stuff. For me, I'm production, and then I'm finished with the production, it just goes fully to 0, and then my mixing goes all the way up. It feels like the same is happening with this track, or maybe you just did not yet spend enough time on like the detail work and really getting, maybe it's just an idea that you made in one night, and then it's very understandable that right now it sounds like this. I don't know. I struggled so hard with this for years, the phases of production. Well, you don't have to do it that way. It's not a rule. It works for me because I really need that kind of structured workflow. I'm not really good at like doing everything at once. But for other producers, that may be the better workflow for them. I know a lot of, like nowadays, a DAW is just good enough and processors are good enough that you can load all of the plugins that you need for production, mixing, mastering, and everything in the same project. You can just do that on most PCs, right? And even if you can't, you can freeze a couple of tracks and then you will be good. But, so nowadays the workflow is much more like do everything at once. Yeah, I'm finding more structures helping me along more as well. Definitely, definitely. For me, just having that final commitment, right? Just saying, okay, I render out all of the audio files. I cannot go back and fix something in the MIDI or change a little bit of the sound design if I want to. It just has to go and it has to work like this. It has been 1.5 hours. We still have more tracks to listen to. But I am going to take a quick break, as always, to just freshen up a little bit, refresh my ears, and then I'll be right back. I just rendered out a new version of this track, so I'll play this one. I'm very proud of this one. I think it's sounding very, very good. Is this the right one? Did I render it out? I did, right? No. No, okay, so this is 1, 2, 1, 4, 7. Yeah, so this is still an old version, but it's fairly close. I did make some arrangement adjustments here. There will be a video on that soon on all of the things that I found out on arrangement. What some of the professionals are doing, which in my opinion is going to be a very good video as well. Anyway, I'll be right back. See you guys in a little bit, and then we'll get right back into... the next track is going to be 240 BPM, so that's going to be interesting. Anyway, be back in a little bit.
To me, that's one thing. It's a fun game. But where the real fruit is in the social aspect, where you get to meet people and play them a game and have a fun, competitive game. You do the best you can, but if you don't win, you won anyway. Because when you lose, you win too. Because if you're paying attention, you learn stuff.
one lead a bit quiet. Some leads are a bit quiet. Yes, this is not the final mix yet. So this is a production, right? So I haven't mixed this. This is almost at the end where I'm happy with all of the details. Kick and bass looks nice to me. Here you can see it better. It just returns to the zero right before it plays the next note. That's essentially what you want. I didn't have to resample this, but that's a little bit technical on why. But that's the track so far. I think a few more hours to fix a little problem on the mix. Perfect. We have some more tracks to go through, so there's a lot of things that I need to listen to. Anyway, Man Who Isn't an Artist, Charter Flight. This is 240 BPM G. I hope this doesn't have the same bass issue that you had with the last track. Hope that this has a normal kind of closing bass line. No. This has the same issue. You see how your bass line doesn't have a transient? This is the issue that I'm talking about. In Serum, or any other synth, if you're making your bass line, what you'll do is you'll have your saw wave, and then you play that, right? Does this allow me to? I have to close out of everything. This is what you have right now. This is essentially your bass line. What you want is you want to do something like this, where the filter closes over time. Obviously, like this. maybe a steeper filter. You want something like this, and the way that that shows up in the analyzers is like so, where you can see it just kind of trails off like that, as opposed to just this, which is essentially what you have, right? Where it's just continuous. So that's what you want, that's what you're missing on your bass line.
Good afternoon, this is your captain speaking with just a little flight information.
It stays open. BPM too fast for the pluck? I don't think so, because even if it was too fast, we should at least see a little bit of the pluck. But it's now, we can see like 3 oscillations here. Right? 1, 2, 3 spikes before the next bass comes in. We should see 1 volume here, 1 maybe here, and then 1 here, instead of it all 3 being at the same like frequency. Hakke. It does indeed have that kind of vibe to it as well. At least it has the speed for it. I'll make a track with kick and bass following only your tutorial and see what happens. I need to rewind a little bit because I told you just missed what you talked a while ago. You mean the first track? Or the beginning of this one? For the beginning of this one, I basically talked about the issue with the bass, and I showed you like the actual component that is missing, which is the filter envelope.
Flying at an altitude of 37,000 feet, and our airspeed is 400 miles an hour. 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 An hour.
A little bit of a strange decision for the vocal to cut off 3 beats before the rest. The rest of the track sounds very, very good. I do really like the balance of it, even if it's hard to determine how the track is going to be if you get the proper bass line in there. But I feel like the mix is sounding very good. Maybe your 60-note hats could use a little bit of extra energy. Imagine sitting in the plane and the pilot suddenly plays this track. I don't think I would feel safe. But sound design again is really good.
Coming up on the left, we're going to be catching a glimpse of the Grand Canyon. On the right, you can be able to see the Hooper in just a few minutes.
Funny. Nice vocal as well. Nightmare Flight, yes. That would be. Next track, Macaulay. This is another WeTransfer download. So that will take just a minute. In the time I can recap what I said about the bass line. If you have I need to close this one as well. What you essentially have with your bass line is this, right? Maybe not that extreme, but this is basically what's happening to your bass. Maybe you have like a little volume modulation or something like that. But this is basically what your bass is doing. What you want is not for this filter to be static, but for it to move. Like this. That's what I talked about before, what you missed. Nice clicky bass like this. We're almost ready here, and I get the analyzers back out. Here we are. So this is Forestdelic Mode by Macaulay. 148 BPM E. Same kind of big kick and bass issues here. This transient is messed up, as you can see. I think it also continues in here a little bit. It's hard to see at such a low volume, but you can definitely see that the kick is being destroyed by the bass line. So there's some resampling is needed. Not the right link. Oh. I messed something up? But that is the next link in our thing. Oh, you sent me the wrong link. Which one do I need? Do I need the one of the last two that you sent? This other one is collective knowledge, so maybe it's this one? Yeah. Okay. It's gonna take another while to download. I'm just gonna download your other track as well, so that I just have it when I need it. Hello Tenka, welcome. I can play the next one on list. I will, yes, okay. So, Psyfs. This is Integration 12. Interesting title. Let's see. And then we'll get back to your track. Very strong, very aggressive start. Here again you can see what a proper bass line looks like on the analyzer. You can see that it plugs down, right, for each one. It is clean, I think, in that it's resampled. There's just this strange issue where the bass is very high here on one side. Usually through the processing, through the phasing, you want to avoid that. This stop is just a little bit random, I would say. Also where the drop just starts. It feels like there isn't really a proper structuring for this. You know what I mean? Like the breakdown didn't feel like it was either 4 bars or 8 bars long. Maybe I'm mistaken. But it felt a little bit off the structuring. I like the kind of complexities and the different complex things that you do that go away from the structure, but you can do that within the confines of a structure, right? In the sense that you make those complexities part of the, say that you have an 8-bar loop and then you want something complex after that. You just take away the amount of time that you need from the 8 bars and then you put it at the end there. That's usually how it's done, but there's a video coming out very soon on this kind of topic. It does sound very good. I like the sound design. You can hear that this bass sounds weaker than the one that we have. You can see it with the volume. This one is stronger, that bass, the lower. Because it doesn't have that issue of being pushed up to one side. Right, this is being pushed up. So you lose a lot of that volume that you would otherwise have there. Let's see if I can capture another low bass. Right here you can see this makes much more use of the entire volume space available. Even still, this one looks fairly wonky, this bass note here. Yeah, here the drop just kind of started again. That's the kind of thing that makes a track feel random. In that case, what you can do is have a little bit of anticipation for that drop to come. Not just the kick and bass fully, but maybe filtering it in, stuff like that, so that people already are accustomed to the beat and know when they need to start dancing. Otherwise, it's a surprise for them and you're not really in that state of trance that we're trying to create with our music. This track has some really nice ideas, very interesting. I do agree, there's very good sound design going on, very good texturing, having everything kind of in the same area in terms of what kind of sound design it uses. Has that kind of eerie, dark feeling to it. Even these chords, right? They don't really sound that happy, especially now. So it all really fits fairly well together. I like this part. Liba Ben, how are you doing? Welcome. Even the bassline melody, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of patterns to it. Like it feels completely random where you're going to this lower bass and then the higher bass again. Maybe it isn't, but it just feels like that. Here it makes sense because now it follows the key of the chords. Final thing I'll say is your hi-hats can be louder and there can be a nice strong offbeat hi-hat. Nice open hi-hat. but even these closed ones can be louder. And you should probably also layer one on top of the kick, because the kick doesn't reach that high in terms of the frequency. Anyway, great production as always. What I want to say, so maybe for some of the new viewers that are here today, I don't tend to spend a lot of time saying, hey, I like that sound, hey, I like that sound, when the track is playing. I want you guys to listen to the track as much as possible, and for that I have to kind of shut up. But that doesn't mean that I'm like this very negative person that only points out the negative things. Well, I do, but I don't want to. I want you guys to hear it as well. So there's a little bit of a balancing act on how many times I can say like the positive things. Obviously, I do want to say all of the things that I personally think that you should maybe change or reconsider or stuff like that. But it's not because I'm trying to be negative with the feedback here. Anyway, next up we have Macaulay again. We are listening to the new version of the track that he sent. So this should be a bit better. It's already a different start, I think. Yeah, the other track that he sent didn't start like this. This is Forestdelic mode. Wow. 148 BPM E. A bit of a slow opening there. I like that the kick and bass is fixed. Here's again, there's no anticipation of the drop coming from this intro. Usually an intro is written in a way that there's maybe like a riser or something, and then you understand when the drop is about to start. I do like the pad. Don't remove it, just add a little bit of extra elements that give the intro a bit of extra structure, so that it's easy to anticipate when the drop will happen. Okay, that's, I think, too long of a silence. Maybe something like a vocal shot, something there. And no fills, yeah. I imagine that there should be stuff there. Sound design is really cool. It all fits together very well. Strange way that this is like phased with this looks like a Harmer lead, like you did it with the phaser in Harmer. At least that's what it looks like to me. I don't know if that's true, because there's many ways of doing that, but Harmer is very powerful for those kind of strange phaser sounds, because you can design your own phaser in it. Probably able to phase it. Maybe. I don't know, it seems like a strange movement for the normal Ableton phaser. Like the way it's always the same, like it always re-triggers. Maybe, I don't know. Obviously I cannot look into your patch and see what you're doing. It just sounded like that. Lossy Rush. I don't know about that emulation. I know the other one, DSP 5300 something something something. This here, 56300E. That's the one that I use. It's not very good. Maybe I will look for the other one. The one that you said. Oh yeah, that's the same one. Patrick, welcome. I did have a good holiday. I think it's just an FM lead made in Serum. Well, Macaulay will probably know what he made the elements in his track with. I assume, at least. Or maybe it's just like me, where every time he produces, he just blacks out for a couple of hours and wakes up to a new track being made. Problem with kick and bass? I don't think so. This looks like a clean kick and bass to me. Maybe you could argue that this is improperly phase aligned, but I don't think that this will be too much of a problem, that like one spike there. If you really want, you can slightly alter the phase of your kick so that this spike kind of sits in the dip right here, right? Because that's this big spike here, this little extension here of the waveform. If you want that, if you want to make sure that your limiter is like treating these more than this peak here, then you can move your kick so that you basically alter the phase of your kick, and then you have to resample your kick again, obviously. But you can just make it so that this peak kind of sits closer to a zero crossing, so it doesn't peak out of one of these peaks so much. That's maybe something to consider. Let me dry off a little bit. I want to get myself a drink in a bit. Here. It does sound really clean. It does sound really good. I hope I said that already, but one of the things that I really like about my community is that the standard of like music is already at like just below pro level, right? Even in a track like this, hear what I have to say in terms of feedback, like all small detail stuff. There isn't any big overarching problem here with this track. You just have to look at the details a bit, clean everything up a little bit, right? Especially there was one thing that I said at the beginning as well. Was it kick fills? Oh yeah, there were no fills and that stuff. Yeah, the intro. Yeah. That kind of stuff. And maybe that's one bass spike if you really want to, but maybe that doesn't even cause issues. But if you fix that, then you have just like a professional sounding track, right? There's nothing off about the track here. And I see that with, I would say, more than half of the submissions that we get. It's fix a few small details, and then you can just get it ready for release, send it to labels, and people would like it. Anyway, Intertwined Galaxy, this is by Acid, who unfortunately left us already, but who will be watching this back. It's A minor, 140 BPM, let's go. I feel like a sub bass in here, just a single sine wave, playing the root note would help stabilize what's happening here.
Isolation tank.
is as heavy as any drug that's out there.
And then the vocals should come through, so it should have more high frequencies, not less high frequencies than the synth. Maybe you need to make some space in those synths as well. Just get them out of the higher frequencies. Especially here, the vocals is just not intelligible. Again, good clean kick and bass. I like that. I'm gonna be honest, I don't like the panning on the percussions. Because percussion's really they're there to add to the rhythm, not so much to the stereo field in my opinion. Feel it's a little over compressed. Should I get a lux meter here so that we can see? No, this is pretty much where you want to be in terms of lux. Is it? Yeah, because it's going negative, so now it's quieter. But obviously this is a break, so this doesn't have to be that -6. The -6 is normally the target. Can I make you smaller? No. Really put this anywhere where it doesn't cover up the rest. But you can see, yeah, this is -6 love. This is where you want to go. So it's not really over compressed. And also the stereo field is at the point where you want to be. You don't want it to be too mono. You still want it to be interesting in the stereo field. I don't agree with Gene here. Apart from the hats going panning, I don't like that effect. Also because it puts the hats more in the background. I feel like the hats should be a foreground element, kind of in that higher frequency range. You know, the little bulb that I talk about here at around 10K that you want. Or at least that I personally like. Psychedelic Underground Records, welcome to the stream. Also Gene, welcome by the way, I didn't say welcome before. Sometimes I forget, and I just go into conversation without first saying hello. Overall good track. One of the things I noticed with your bass line is you remove the stereo or the sub bass, I think almost completely. Right, because this is the second harmonic. You can see the distance here isn't a full octave, and you can see there's a little bit of stuff happening here left. Personally, I'm not a fan of that. I do think that there needs to be a bit of sub bass so that the bass has that extra bit of weight. I understand that the trick of having your second harmonic be the loudest does work for this kind of style, but I think that there needs to be a bit more sub bass for it to actually sound like balanced, right? Because it feels like it's missing something now. That would be my final thing to say here. Next up, we have Dumb Bros or Alien Chaos. Alien Chaos passed by Dab's remix. I've been following your YouTube channel for some time now. Thanks for the feedback sessions. You are welcome. I do have one question. I hope you're in chat here. And the question really is, do you have permission for the remix? Because I cannot play it unless I can fully rely on you for the copyright. Because Alien Chaos is probably signed somewhere. It's an official remix. Perfect. As long as you have the official license for it, then anytime I get copyright issues, if they try to claim something, I'll just say I got permission from you to play it and you have all of the licensing, and I thought that it was in order. Yeah, if you want to make an official remix, they will send you the files that you get to work with. Another fast track. I like it. Very strong bass line. I like it. Is it clean? Yes, sir. I think what happened here is you resampled and then put another filter in your master chain. Didn't you? Sounds really good, sounds really powerful. I like it. I don't think that kick and bass cleanness issue is really so bad that you have to change it and go back and fix it. It's good enough, I would say, but it's something to think about when you resample your kick and bass and you're done and you then go into mastering. Let's check here as well. Yeah, here you can see right before the transient you just go up, right? And here it's the same thing. This transient kind of still rings out. This indicates to me that there's probably one filter causing this on the kick and bass group or on the master channel after you did your resampling. Because I assume that this is actually resampled. It's not so bad that it's like you didn't pay any attention to the cleanliness. It's just like, oh, you forgot the filter somewhere. Maybe set it to linear phase or something like that. Doesn't he do it in Spanish or Portuguese or something? Because I've heard of the name, but there's probably a reason why I don't watch him regularly if it's not in English. Please be the one that's free to route Windows audio through the DAW. I don't remember. I don't use that kind of plugin. So Portuguese. Okay, yeah. I speak neither, so I wouldn't be able neither Portuguese or... He has done some English stuff in the past, right? Yeah. Maybe I've seen some of his English videos. Maybe if I see the guy again, then I'll remember him. I did a video on this trick, the way that you make these build-ups. Really cool method. Overall, very strong track. I like it. I'm gonna follow you. If you make music like this. It's also well structured. Sounds really good. I like it. Next up we have Macaulay again. So this time it would be, yes, collective knowledge. Right? Yes. Collective knowledge. I don't have a key or BPM for this.
Got these crystals.
That's okay.
These babies just saved this late night party!
I'm gonna get a copyright strike for...
Play something.
No, not really.
Play something.
Nice strong kick and bass. I do recommend a little bit of stereo icing on the bass line. I always like that effect. Obviously not the low frequencies, but 250 Hz and above, you can make that a little bit more stereo. Not completely mono. How do I route audio into Ableton? Voice meter. I have a video on that. Just find the video for voice meter. Sound design is again really, really good. Nice use of the vocal here. That sounds really cool. Nice fill. It's a snare that sounds a little bit like a clap because it has no fundamental, which is kind of the psytrance way, really.
This looks just like Trisha's bog. Morty, I think these tubes might contain all of their collective knowledge.
Well?
I think we got this, bro.
I like your vocal mix. That was very, very clean.
Summer, were you smoking this?
One of the things I think for this track is you could do with a little bit less, like 500 hertz on your bass line. It has a little bit of a nasally feeling to me. It's always a frequency that I need to dip on my own bass lines as well, but I hear it on this one too. Just like 1 or 2 dB, nothing crazy obviously. The transition into this part was a little bit rough, but I do like this part.
Summer, were you smoking this? You're basically inhaling brake fluid.
I think here you can do more with the vocals and you don't have to have like so many other leads on top of it yet. It's a little bit too high energy when you get back into the drop, in my opinion. This is where the other elements should come in.
Yeah.
Macaulay with collective knowledge. This one right here.
What the hell was that? I thought those crystals were supposed to help us get home or something!
What? No, I can get us home whenever I want to.
Little kind of quick wiggle synth.
Usually over! Rick, take us home now!
Alright, fine.
Those gears just started turning.
Clearly put a lot of detail in when you're sound designing, making sure that all of the elements together form like one simple, not really even simple, but an understandable rhythm, which is really good. That is what you should be doing. Like that little wiggle thing there. Something like that just indicates kind of a rhythm, right? Taka taka. That's something that we can easily understand. And if you have that occur at the same space in the beat or in the structure every so often, like every 2 bars or something like that, then we kind of use that as an anchor, and then you can work around it with some other elements. But you have that stability, and that really helps keeping everything sounding uniform. So that's really well done. Next up, we have another one from Man Who Isn't an Artist. This is Operetta. This again is going to probably have a bass line which sounds a little bit off. This is 200G, but we'll see what the bass line is doing. Nice phaser effect already. I like that little moment where the phaser was in sync with the other synth. The bass is again completely open. Oh. There seems to be a big impact there which has a lot of sub bass. You don't want that on top of your kick and bass. Again, we can see that the waveform doesn't change, right? And the frequencies that it uses doesn't change, so you're missing your filter envelope. Maybe it's the drum bus that's making issues. No, your filter is on, but it's not moving. The filter envelope is missing. I think I explained it before with this patch here, right? The filter may be set, but it needs to, for every note, move so that it closes. That's what gives you the transient. And we can see that that's what's missing on here, because the harmonics always stay at the same frequency. It doesn't close like a plug. It doesn't have to do with it being too open or not, it's just not moving. The filter shouldn't be static, it should be changing over time. Envelope modulation is needed, yes, yes. And yes, unless you decide to do a glide bass, in which case you shouldn't trigger 3 distinct notes. Also, overall the cleanliness can be better. Like transients here. Obviously this isn't going to have a real transient, but it is going to have a start. And overall that's very messy too. No, the multiband compression isn't the issue. The lack of filter envelope is the issue. Maybe if there is a filter envelope, you're not moving it, or for some reason the modulation is turned off, but there is no movement on the filter. And you want movement on the filter. Okay, this feels a little bit random. It just kind of transitions out and then goes into a completely different song almost. Or a little bit. Here again, the big impact causes issues with the sub. You can also see that this looks a little bit strange, but that's because this isn't cleaned up. If you clean this up, then this will also look better. If you don't know how to get a clean kick and bass, then follow this tutorial. Wait, why did it stop? It just stopped. It's not finished, the track. Ah. my internet. Am I back now? Is it back again? We'll just get back to the point where we were in the track. We're at 4 minutes and 19 seconds. I'll go a little bit before that and then we'll continue from there. Anyway, what I said when I posted the link was that you need to clean up your baseline as well after you do the filter envelope. And then, so that's why I posted the link for the tutorial for that. When we left off, we were here. I love this atmosphere. I love this sound design as well. Overall, your sound design is really, really good. It's a little bit of an enigma that your bass lines always sound so weird, that you don't pick up on that, because the rest sounds very experienced. Like somebody who knows what they're doing, but the bass line, it seems like a beginner mistake not having the filter on there. I guess you cannot really hear it in this, like when it's all full sounding. But here you should hear that there's something strange going on with the bass line. That it doesn't have that pluckiness that you want from it. But you can hear what I mean, right? Here, if you compare this to one of the last tracks that we played, that Alien Chaos track. Like, listen to this bass line now, how plucky this is. And you can see the difference, right, in the waveform. This versus... Can I get a good part of the bass line here? Yeah. That versus... You can see the difference, right? Here all of the little spikes are at the same frequency. And here you have that first spike, which is the highest, and then it just goes down, and you can really see that the filter is cutting this out over time. So that's what you're missing. That's what you're missing in your bassline. And in this case, this bassline is also like beefier and weightier. This is cleaned up, right? So you can see that the lower frequencies are much less messy than what's happening here. I also think that there may be some issues going on in terms of muddiness of your overall mix, like the other elements kind of getting in the way of your kick and bass sometimes. But it may also be the case that the analyzer, sometimes this analyzer just completely freaks out and you get stuff like this. But in this case, I do feel like also looking at the waveform, it wasn't entirely cleaned up, your kick and bass. Obviously the bass line, you would need to make some changes to that before you would resample it. But hopefully that helps. The next track is by Baltic B, and this is called Working On, which is probably referring to the state of the track and not so much the title. I do have to download it, so 50 seconds, 40 seconds, and then we should be good to go. The seconds left. It is downloaded a quarter of the thing, and the time left is going up. First time I send a track here. Welcome. You'll probably notice. I probably will, yeah. If you didn't clean it up, there's a good chance I'll see that. I tend to catch those things. It's really easy to catch that because you just look at the waveform. It's not something. It's not like I hear it, right? The clean kick and bass. Sometimes it can be so dramatic that you can hear it, like even on my headphones, but it translates very, very poorly when you're going into PA systems, so going into clubs or festivals. If your music ever gets played there, it's crucial for your kick and bass transients to translate. That you clean up your kick and bass. Okay, so here we go. Working On by Baltic B. Nice ominous dark bass stab starting us out here. Is this gonna be offbeat? Here's again, you could probably see the waveform. There might be some like lower frequency rumbling in some of the other sounds still. We can see the kick slightly being pushed up top. The bass is actually okay in terms of the transient. Like, this isn't going to do much, right? This isn't too extreme. But if you're going to put another filter on here in your mastering, and then you're going to push it into a limiter, then you're going to get issues, especially with the kick, because this kick is being pushed up, right, by the bass. I can probably zoom in, and you can see it a bit better. Because this goes up, you can see that the kick also goes up, and that means that this is going to hit your master chain harder than it needs to be. If this was flat 0, it has the maximum amount of space. So that's really what's causing the issue here. And that's why we clean. You can see all of these peaks kind of going up top. That's what you want to prevent, and that's why you clean a kick and bass. Thanks for the feedback on Orantica. You're welcome. Hope that it's helpful. There was a big improvement in one of the things. I don't remember exactly. The one thing that I do remember is that first kick that we talked about even before being weak. It was already better, but it can be better still. You can scoop out some of that mid-range, some of that muddiness, and really allow the sub to shine through, and then they balance more of the rest of the kicks in your track. This is really good. If you get it properly mixed, it sounds really nice. At some point this one synth sound is going to become a bit boring, so maybe change it up a little bit, have the performance rise slightly over time, stuff like that. Maybe a phaser or something like that. But overall, the flow of this track is very nice. FG, welcome. If FG is in the chat, we can expect some more faster side trends maybe. Right, you also do like 160, right? It's so hard to remember everybody's like style and BPM and everything. I barely remember my own. For some reason I've been working on a high-tech album. Or EP. This is 155. It's nice flow. I would say at this point the synth is just completely boring. The four-man synth, the one that's playing this bit here. So there definitely needs to be more change for it over time. How do I send the demo? WeTransfer, just upload on Discord. You can just upload it there. That's good enough. You can send the SoundCloud link. That's okay. WeTransfer, I also accept. This is a WeTransfer track that we're listening to now. Whatever is best for you. Also, welcome to the stream, Korok. I hope that's how you pronounce it. Very nice flow. I really like that. Some small details. In fact, some of the details you already pointed out before I even talked about it. Anyway, next track is LDC Liba. LDC Liba is the Discord name. LDC is the artist name. And this is Sounds and Cosmos 180 BPM. Today is a very fast day.
It sounds so much more important than a word, which is a meaning. Meanings are made up in human mind. Sound is the essence of creation.
I like it.
The sound.
I like that you can barely understand what the vocal is saying. It has those effects, but you're keeping it intelligible, which is good.
Psychological structure of human being is essentially a certain kind of...
It could be a bit more stereo, this vocal. Just stereo width, just like wider 2 or something.
It is essentially a certain kind of illusion.
Or make the delay ping pong. That's on there. That tends to work well as well.
Aspect of creation. If you have mastery of all sounds, you have mastery over...
The rest of the stereo field is very well used. Listen to the auto panning and all the atmospheres being a little bit wider.
But meanings are human things. The sound is not made up. Sound is part of the creation. Sound is part of the existence. Sound is part of making the creation happen. Right now, all the creation is vibrating.
Here we go.
Creation is a vibration.
Bit of a weak bass line. Very dynamic bass line here. It's nice and clean. I like that. Could be a little bit more sustained, so you get a little bit more power out of it.
The sound. Simply enjoying the sound.
Yeah, the vocal still sounds a little bit too dry in terms of too mono, and it can have a bit more delay. It could have a bit more reverb as well.
You cannot pay attention.
And the delay could be ping pong, so that it sits back in the mix a bit more and it has that ping pong effect. Now the delay just kind of continues on being mono. Your bass line is also completely mono. Personally, I like a bit of stereoization on there. I have a video coming out soon on how you test stereo plugins.
Simply enjoying the sound.
Yeah, you could get a little bit more click out of it if you start with a higher filter cutoff with the modulation on it, with the envelope on it.
Essentially a certain kind of madness.
That would give you a bit more impact, which you could also use. But I think the main thing is the sustain. It's just too dynamic of a sound. I don't know if that came from the specific synthesis that you used or that it's done deliberately. This sound design is really cool though. Serum. Okay, but did you deliberately make it more dynamic like that? Because yours is like a triangle, right? You would want it to be a bit more sustained, so that it has a bit more just overall volume over time. Maybe some compression, maybe some clever like limiting even if you want to. But personally, I like to do that, to just fix that in the sound design if I can. Probably a volume envelope somewhere that is set a bit too strong. You can just dial that back and that should fix it. Maybe you have to mix the bass a little bit quieter then, because if you have a more sustained bass, you obviously don't want it to be perceived louder then. The perceived loudness of the kick and bass and all of that stuff is good. Even like the mixing between it is properly done. It's just that, to me, it's a bit too dynamical. Maybe it's also because this probably isn't mixed and mastered yet. Maybe it's mixed, because it does sound well balanced.
Is that you involve yourself with the sounds.
But maybe if this hits a mastering limiter a bit strongly, then it will fix itself even.
Right now, you're trying to make yourself a different kind of sound.
If that's the route that you want to go through, by the way, then you can turn up your kick and bass group by 2 dB and then maybe it should be fixed.
To the larger sound, which we call the cosmos.
Yeah, you could go that route. Here, this is what I mean. Now we can get a clear idea, right? It just goes down. You want this to kind of stay at the same level. The kick is looking good. If you have it stay at the same level, you just, what I would do is up the kick maybe 1 or 2 dB. And then if you have the sustained bass line, I think then everything is fixed. But the rest sounds really good. Nice sound design going on here.
Different pattern of sound. Simply enjoy the sounds.
Personally, what I would do here, if you have 2 synths like playing alternating like this, is then one, you could have a little bit of crossover between the 2 synths, so it sounds a little bit more unified. Or you could have a synth that's like an extra layer that just adds some unification between the 2. Maybe like some classical bandpass plugs or an offbeat plug every other beat. That's kind of like the classical thing to do. But something that connects the 2 sounds together. Kind of like a sequence or something like that. Very cool, very good. Sounds really, really nice. I think I pointed out enough details for you to work with, hopefully. And cheers to Bali, is all I'll say. Musical journey 290 BPM. Wow. This is the fastest day we've ever had in terms of music submissions for feedback. Like the same reverb on both? No, not like an effect, but another sound, like from a musical standpoint, right? Now you have, what you essentially have is, how can I demonstrate this? Yeah, like you have like 2 blocks, right? This thing plays, and then this thing plays, and then this thing, and then this thing. But a little bit of overlap, maybe just by having the MIDIs at some portions play together. Maybe by having another sound that plays all the time, right? So one of the things that I suggested is an offbeat plug. And what I mean by that is that every other beat in your track, this actually has a good example, this track here. Hopefully it's mixed loud enough that I can find it. Do you hear here? Every other beat there is that like plug. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Now granted here it's the same sequence all the time, but something like that offbeat pluck can help if you have, okay, one sound here, different sound here, first sound here, second sound here, first sound here, second sound here, and so on and so on. Because then that other sound plays basically all the time. And that unifies the other two sounds that don't play together. Right? Because now it is like a question and answer thing that you have going on, which is kind of like a standard technique, but it feels very, okay, we're going to listen to this sound, and now this sound is finished, there. This is finished, we go there. This is finished, we go there. And you can prevent that by layering a few other sounds on top, even like a simple bandpass pluck, right? Even, here's quick sound design tutorial. In your serum, what you do is standard saw wave, you just go bandpass, nice big resonance, and then note on random here. This is like a classical psytrance idea. You put a delay on it, and then you put something that just makes it so that you get 16 notes, right? Or you can just make a MIDI pattern with 16 notes. And basically this should be it. Like, this is very simple stuff. Something like this, right? This kind of sequence in the background behind those two other leads still helps unify those two leads together, because they're both going to be mixed with this individual like sequence thing. Okay, let's get back here. Anyway, next track, yeah, is Musical Journey by Man Who Isn't an Artist. 219 BPM. We're probably again going to have the same bass line. I'll no longer mention it. Otherwise I'm beating like a dead horse. That's how they say it, right? I don't want to hammer him on the same mistake over and or the same choice over and over again. I like the use of a crash as a snare. At least that's what I think is happening here. One of the things I'll say is that, in my opinion, 290 BPM is too fast. Hello Hector, welcome to the stream. It's good music to start the stream with. Some really cool sound design there. I like that. Your bass line, I've said this before, it's completely mono. I've said this for other tracks. This is not the same thing that I said before to Histro. But one of the things that I personally like is to have a little bit of stereo wave coming from my bass line. Just a little bit. I usually go for M stereo spread. And then you'll just get, like, you set the bands to get the right tone. Obviously you don't want any low frequencies in there. And then I usually go with like 20% spread on my bass line. And that gives just like a little bit. It's still going to be completely mono compatible, and there's going to be a video out soon that will prove that. But then it just becomes a little bit more exciting when you're listening to it in stereo. That's very loud. That impact. Way too loud. recommend a book for audio engineering. I want to learn more about loudness, units, and that stuff. Honestly, when it comes to books, that's not my strong suit. I'm not much of a reader myself. The internet is becoming worse again. Doesn't really like it. Either way, I'm back. I was going to recommend Dan Worrell, that you watch him. I think everybody knows him. This guy, if you watch all of his videos, you'll understand loudness and stuff as well. He does have some stuff on that. He also makes videos for FabFilter. If you watch those two channels, I think it would be okay. The stream broke. It should be back. I should be back now. Hopefully. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Still? Because on my OBS site it is back. It just sometimes dips out. There's nothing that I can really do about that. Personally, here from a artistical standpoint, I personally think that 290 BPM is too much. Like, that's beyond like nice fast for me. But there's the sound design and everything like that did work for me. So it's not like it's hard to explain, because I still want to talk about that one bass line issue, which is just really stands out. I think if you fix that, you'll have very good sounding music. It's just that this one personally didn't really work for me because of the too high speed. Anyway, we have a few more tracks. We have Soundbender again. 2020.3.mp3. A very, very strange name for a track, but I'll take it. Also, there's kick and bass issues. You can see it's not cleaned up here. There's no transient here. Honestly, there isn't even a transient here. This looks better. This is cleaner. Yeah. It's just the first one. It's just the date I didn't choose the name yet. I know. It's just a running joke with that all of the names that we give to our music sound a little bit off. Do you like your content on Psytrance? How can I send a track to review, and do you have lessons on how to produce Psytrance? I do offer private lessons. I also have a masterclass that you might be interested in. In order to send me your track, you can join my Discord server and send it right here on feedback on stream. Just go and do the feedback on stream channel, post it here, and eventually we'll get to it. Grafometrics, yeah, she does a. It's she, right? She's female, right? I think it. I'm not 100% sure. He or she never revealed their face.
Lush, green.
Wave out anything you want.
As young as day, as old as time.
Nice vocal mix here. But they have a nice series on getting very loud music, if you're into that.
Animal instincts.
Again, all of the sound design in this track just works together. Very well done. The clip to zero method, yes. Yes, that's that from Matix. Their contribution to the production of, or to the community of music production.
Sounds like music.
What's the Discord? Exclamation point feedback should get you there. There's also the pinned message that should have the link in there. And you can just join through the link. You'll join here, you'll probably end on my landing page where you can add my music to your playlist so that you can listen to it over and over again. If you want to ask me a question for the 10,000 subscriber Q&A coming up soon, you can do that here. And then if you want to submit your music, feedback on stream, right there.
They're used to put an evil spell on people.
I like your vocal mix as well, it's nice.
Using magic.
Part of a good vocal mix is just not putting too many elements there when you have the vocal to begin with. And that's something you did well there. Few sounds there that were a little bit on the loud side. There was one FM sound coming in that suddenly kind of resonated there. This one. You can see the peak here in the little thing there. This kind of resonance is okay because it's just like one spike, but if you have an FM sound where it's a lot of stuff and it's all resonating, like in this case, it may just cause, you can see it in the waveform, it just kind of ups the waveform in volume. You don't want that too much happening to your waveform. That's usually an indication that that lead is either too loud, or if it's happening constantly, then your kick and bass isn't loud enough. This is very well balanced. Here you can see the waveform always stays very close to like the same level limit, which is just going to help when you're mixing and eventually mastering. Again, this is completely mono. Personally, I prefer a little bit of stereo wave on the bass, but maybe that's also a bit aesthetically. Tends to be the case that anytime you add stereo to your bass line, it also slightly changes the texture, because just of the way that stereo wave is introduced into a sound, right? Mix is bad and no mastering needs. Okay. See what you think. Well, I think that's a good production. I think you did a very fine job on this. This is my first try in Psy ever. Started yesterday, didn't expect a feedback stream, so I just send it how it is. I know there's still a lot to do. Very cool. Very cool. Somebody starting out in Psytrance and their first track is high tech. When do you see that? It is very loud. It's very loud and there's a lot of mud in here. What you want to do is what the fuck is happening to the analyzer? My analyzer just doesn't keep up. There's a lot of mud here. Do you see all of these lower frequencies? I don't even know. Is your bassline playing? Is your bassline playing like a low octave here somewhere? Like 12 hertz? You want your bassline to probably play around between like 40 and 80 hertz. Its lowest harmonic. And that's not happening here, I think. Dynamics have been defeated and extinct. Now it picks up again. It just, when it has to deal with so much low frequency content, it just doesn't keep up for some reason. Here you can see again, there's a lot of rumble here, right? All of this mess here, you don't want that because that's distracting from the actual sub bass that needs to be there. You can see again, this is just a mess of lower frequencies. There isn't actually any bass in this. As weird as it sounds, because this is all almost like noise, there isn't actually any substantial bass in this mess of bass here. There should just be one harmonic poking out. You can barely hear me speak. I can turn it down slightly here. Like this. It is indeed very, very loud. I'm sorry. I mean, it has loads of everything here happening, as you can see. But this just doesn't need to happen. You need one harmonic here. That's the main thing. And the absolute destruction of the dynamics here. There's some hard clipping going on this waveform as well. My biggest tip that I want to give you for today, if you're starting out, size scope. You want to look at the kick and bass of a reference track and then at your own, and you want to match them as close as possible. Go to the masses. 3 tracks. I don't know if I'm going to listen to all 3 tracks. I have been live for 3 hours now, and I don't know if I listen. Where do I send a track? Here. Not here. But where you wrote the question, C-Duck, this is where you send the track. Anyway, what I'll do, also, okay, so please just select one of them. Perfect, I can do that. FG, can I also just select one of the 2? Do you have any preference? Also, Tenka, do you have any preference? I thought there was an earthquake when I put on my headphones. First one. Okay, we'll listen to the first one. This is F150. Let me get the waveform ready for you guys. Like this. Personally, I would say turn up your kick and bass like 2 dB. I need to turn up my own volume again from that last track. This sound is completely panned to the right. It might be nice to auto pan it left and right. like that other atmosphere spanning left and right, right? This is Signalizer, this analyzer. The other analyzer that I recommend for everybody is Scope. This is specifically for checking your kick and bass. Sounds cool. Sounds good. Very nice. Overall, the theming, like we said before many times today, all of the sound design works well together. I think, yeah, the kick and bass was a little bit on the quiet side, but for the rest it sounds really good. I will... Tenka, did you have a preference? That I only select one. So you don't have a preference, I'll just use a random one then. I'll go for the second. Not found. Okay, then I'll go for the first. Wait. I know this is the right link. This is a private link sharing, but for some reason it still doesn't work. All 3 tracks cannot be found. I cannot select any one of them. I don't know why. It looks like a private link to me, so it should work with like the private sharing stuff. But apparently it just does not yet exist, the track. Maybe it needs some time to process or something like that. Number 2. Yeah, no, still nothing. It is very private. It's NSA levels private, this thing. I don't know why the links aren't working, but it looks like a private link, right? You can see it has the long extra string at the back, which is what you have for private things. Like the same as here. It has all of this mess behind it. If it's a public SoundCloud, it will look, yeah, like this. It will just stop at the end of the track name. But for the private ones, it should continue like it's doing here. For some reason, it just still doesn't work. Nope. Still nothing. Here's some more discussion is taking place, but that's okay. If you can fix one of the links, that would be nice. Maybe the second one. Let's see. Still nothing. If not, I can post a side techno track. Of course. I'll be here. You know what I'll do? In this time that things are getting fixed, I'll post or I'll play some of my tracks and I'll take a quick break. And then I'll do another like half hour, maybe 45 minutes of streaming. This. Here's some of my high tech. They already strike the track. Ah, wow. That's quick. Is it because you don't have the permit, or like don't have the setup with the label that they don't claim you specifically? You can whitelist people from like the automatic stuff, the automatic striking and stuff like that. But that's very aggressive. If it was, because this is a private link. If it's a private thing and they still strike it, that's very aggressive. Maybe that's SoundCloud policy, I don't know. Either way, this should play. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick break, and after this track is finished playing, I'll be back, and then I'll do another half an hour, 45 minutes of streaming, and then I'll call it a day. You guys can still submit tracks. If Tenka, if you want, you can send just like a WAV file or something like that. If, by the way, if they are going to strike you, it's probably not a good idea that I listen to it on my stream, because then I'm also going to get striked. Unless you can talk to the guys at the label and say like, okay, whitelist him so that he doesn't get striked with the tracks or something like that. It might not be a good idea if they're so aggressive with the striking. Has anyone tips for hi-hat percussion tutorials and or sample packs? Yeah, I have some videos on it. One also talks about some of the packs that I use. The sample selection one. They are really fast, yeah. I take a break, I'll be right back, and then I'll do another half hour, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
amici leoni, io vi saluto.
Sierra 1, we have a Black Hawk down. 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 Down.
My track is more like a sample read. We'll get to it. But this is live. Even live streams can be just struck and they will just take your live stream out of the air immediately. And even if they don't do it like that, if they strike it later, it's still a strike. And it counts to the 3 strikes that just get my channel deleted. After 3 strikes, your channel is just gone. So I'm not gonna risk it. Unfortunately, I just have to be careful with copyright stuff like that. If I don't get the permission, they can just strike me. And even if I get permission, the strike will happen and I have to fight it and I have to say like, okay, this artist gave me permission to play this track. I have like, they asked me to play it on the stream, so obviously I get the right to play it if they tell me to. In this case, it is highly questionable if even you own the rights to the music, because they struck you as well, right? That was the cleanest spectrum analyzer I've ever seen. Thank you. Anyway, that means that there's still one more track. There's the original tracks there. Even there, now that I know that this is like all signed to a big label, I'm scared to play it on my stream. Because you have to understand, I have 1 strike at the moment. Let's say that I play 1 more track of yours that gets struck basically guaranteed. And then another strike just comes through from one of the other tracks. Somebody wasn't careful, they sent me something that was in the copyright system. My channel just gets deleted. It's just over for me, right? So I have to be careful with that stuff. I will play the Hypno track. This is Man Who Just Isn't an Artist. Have I been saying it wrong all the time, or is it different this time? Either way, this is Nightlights 128 BPM F. Scan for viruses. No, thank you. I trust this. There's a little bit of a click behind that kick, isn't there? Sounds strange. It doesn't show up on the analyzer, I don't think. No ejector. Indeed, we don't want that. This sounds very clean. I like this. Again, a static filter, but in this case it works. With that low saw, you want to be careful that it's not going into the sub, but I don't think it is. Sorry Sorry, I didn't get all that. No worries. It just means, unfortunately, I cannot listen to it on stream. I can listen to it off stream later. Even the new stuff. If you just send it to me in private. Maybe it's a BPM issue with the filter. It can be that you use a patch which just isn't made for that high BPM, yeah. But even then it would not explain it completely because we would still expect a little bit of filter movement. I think your bass patch that you use for your high-tech stuff just has something wrong with the filter envelope. This sounds nice though. Maybe at this point where this other saw kind of wop comes in, you don't need that first one, that long stab that you have. At some point you do have to remove some of the old elements so that the new elements can come in. Not the patch, I basically make a new bass. Okay, then you're doing something just systematically wrong in my opinion. Keeps deleting your messages? I don't know. You mean here in the YouTube chat or in the feedback? Hey, your messages are still in my Discord. I would think you can play the links I put in now. Again, there's something in Psytrance called Trance Central. It's supposed to be a company that helps promote Psytrance, but all they do is hire bass 79 so that they can strike people's videos if they feature anything that is remotely close to like something they own. They're very aggressive in striking, and you're obviously signed to like a major label. It's hard for me to play your stuff for that reason. Because copyright it's very clear. They get to strike me and then I have to respond. Do I need to provide a link or can I send the WAV file? You can send the WAV file. The way that you did it is perfect. Can't put links in the chat. No, that's disabled. That might be the reason why they're deleting your stuff. I mean, you're signed to a mouse now, right? But this is, or is this old? I should listen a bit more to this. Here, the saw wobble thing that you have in here personally can use a bit more stereo for me. And overall, I think the track is fairly dark. Like I want the hi-hat and the other percussion stuff to kind of come out here. The aggressive company is technically base 79, but that's the company through which Trance Central, the guys that own all of the like big channels on YouTube, yeah, don't fuck with them. They will strike anything. They strike my stream regularly for stuff that's not even in there. They just say, oh, that sounds like our track, and then I have to find them again, and I usually win that. It's an automatic system that does the detection, but the human has to make the strike. Like the detection is automatic, you get a list of all of the things that have been detected, and then you have to say, do I want to strike this or not? And then in those, they basically click yes on everything, I assume. Because the strikes that they send out just don't make any sense, and anytime I dispute them, if it's just not the same track that they claim it is, then it immediately goes away. But it's still work that I have to do, and obviously if I do play a track that they have the right to, it's much harder for me to actually dispute that and get the strike lifted from my channel again. Sounds very, very cool. I would also say here the atmosphere that's in there can be a bit more stereo. Like the stereo field is something that's interesting to play with, and I feel like this track isn't doing that enough. Here, this saw thing also, that could become more stereo. But overall, I really like the musical idea here. I think it's a cool track. We have a few more. I do think I'm going to close the submissions because I don't want to go on too long. We have a whole bunch of text here. Hi, this is a small sample of the bass I am working on. It is basically your main bass, but with some tweaks on the envelope and cutoff. There's a very specific bass sound I like for sidetrans, where some of the higher low frequencies are kept. The way I describe it is that the sub asterisk is more on the lowest frequency, kind of plucky. However, the one that I am working on has some of the raw mid-low freak, and it makes it more clingy. That's the word instead of clean sub. Please let me know if I explain myself clear. Not really, but we'll see what it sounds like. Also, this is a very specific sound I love when raving. It just gives me the chills. Let's see if you hear the difference. Let's see what this bass line is all about. This is definitely a different bass line, yeah. Okay. Personally, the kick is way too quiet here. I also think that the punch is wrong. It should be more rounded off here. This bass note should probably have less velocity, and I think you want more transient on your bass, because there's just a complete lack of transient here. You can also see it here. It doesn't really have any high frequencies. In terms of the lower frequencies, I do really like how you're balancing the low end of it and the first few harmonics. If you want, you can get even more, like 200 hertz, 250 hertz out of this if you really want it. The vocal is triplet, but the bass is not. Yes. Yes, that's correct. The vocal doesn't match the bass pattern, like at all. Triplet versus regular timing, yeah. You want your timings to match, because now what you have is that this vocal doesn't line up with any of the bass notes. So you're not getting that trance feeling, right? Because the elements are telling you to do two different things rhythm-wise, technically. Personally, I would like to hear some more high-end, and obviously, I recommend bass cleaning. You say that you didn't want like a clean sub, but the overall cleaning is something that I do always say that you should have. And that's not present in this bass line either. There's a lot of post-ringing going into the kick. There's post-ringing from one bass note going into the next. And personally, I would recommend not doing that. Need to work on the second bass line. Wait, who said that? Where? This one here. Okay, so this is the Kai. What is triplet? Okay. If I have a note here, this is a beat. This is the length of one kick drum and bass, right? Here you can see kick, bass, this is a beat. Here's another kick and the bass, this is a beat. Obviously this doesn't line up because this is high-tech stuff. But here you have a beat. Normally what you will have is that this is the kick playing here, and then you'll have your 3 bass notes here. What triplet, so you have 4 basically elements in a beat. And usually the kick is a little bit longer, and there's the classical bass fighting that happens between this note. This note is usually a little bit lower in volume. So this is kind of what a standard rolling kick and bass looks like. Triplet is where instead of using 4 segments, you divide up the beat in 3 segments. So you get 1, 2, 3. You can see that these 2 things don't line up. This doesn't line up with that, and this doesn't line up with that either, right? The timing is different. And therefore, elements with triplets should stay triplet, and elements with, or tracks with rolling bassline should probably stay rolling bassline. That's the kind of the standard rule I would follow for the beginning if you're just starting out. There are situations in which it can work. Sometimes like just having a little switch to triplet and back. But if you're not quite sure, I would personally say that you don't want to make those switches. You don't want to have one that is triplet and then something else that is not triplet playing on top of each other, or even close together usually. Sometimes you'll hear that a track has rolling first bass, rolling first drop, rolling third drop, and then the second drop will be a triplet drop. There's usually a long transition period in which that transition is made. It's not instant. And that's because they're 2 different rhythms. They're not the same. They don't allow you for the same kind of dancing, basically. Anyway, the next and probably last track. It's been 3.5 hours, so I'm going to finish pretty soon. But the last track is the Kai. It's called This, and I'm not going to pronounce that. I was going to make a funny joke on the name of the track, but I just won't. It's too hard to pronounce, so. This is the track, and yeah. A little bit of silence there. I don't think that that's intentional. Here we have some nice square bass. Haven't heard that yet today. Is it clean? I don't think that this is resampled and taken care of. It's not that bad. It goes up a little bit here. You could make it cleaner. Yeah. Here you can see the waveform just goes zook and then down. You want that to be straight, and you just resample your bassline and you should be good. Nice track name, yes, I agree. I like the dark elements in here. Works well with the dark bassline. Ooh, that clap is a little bit overwhelming. It's not that I dislike the sample, you can probably get away with turning it just down like 2 dB. Also, when you're doing kick rolls and stuff like that, it's a good idea to resample and slightly fade out the kick towards the end right before the next transient. Again, so that the transient has maximum power when it's actually playing. This sounds good. Overall nice tone. No resampling once again. Also very light on the processing. I personally like a little bit more phase dispersion. You can see this is basically just a saw wave. Here it's already more. That's strange. Why would there be more halfway through? But here you can see the impact that that processing has on the transient here. Do you see how this just kind of goes like this? You obviously want that to be, you obviously want the transient to be as powerful as possible. So what we do is we record our baseline and then we fade it out right before here and just delete everything that happens after. We record it to audio for that specific reason, so that you can remove any of those clicks. Here it's the same thing. This transient is getting pushed up completely because of the stuff that is happening right before it. So you resample, remove that stuff that is happening, and make sure that this transient is just completely clean when it plays. Hopefully that helps. I did have a video on kick and bass cleaning. If you need more information on that, then just watch that. Okay, I'm gonna end the stream here. It has been a while. I still need to edit some videos for next week for you guys. I think, yeah, that's everything. Nothing to promote. Yeah, final thing. If you want to ask me a question for 10K subscribers and you want to be in the video, go in here, ask me questions. The more, the merrier. Oh, how was my vacation? Vacation was very, very good. On Ableton course. Course on the bass? Why? You do you. Sorry. Yeah, so final thing. If you want to ask me any kind of question in regards to 10K subscribers, you can do so here. A few more days and then... to make the bass. Or to make the chimes. Sorry. I thought that was for me. Doesn't matter. They sound... The sounds in the track were good. I was a little bit focused on the bass line because we talked about the cleaning. But yeah, the overall sound design was really good. I think I said it, right? I like the dark sound with the dark bass. Anyway, that's going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Ask me as many questions as you can for 10K. And see you guys next time, which might be next Sunday. I don't know if I have any time to stream because next week I will probably spend a lot of time moving or at least preparing the apartment to move. I don't know how much time that leaves me for streaming, but we'll have to see. And obviously, if I'm moving, I have to dismantle the whole PC and the whole studio setup and then reassemble it there. That's gonna take like a day or something like that. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see each other very